Hello everyone, Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. By the way, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting that like button. We're going to take a look at the sector review. Not going to do all the relative strength this week. Maybe I'll start doing it every other week. But until then, not much changes on a week-to-week basis. Remember, if you're looking for relative strength and going to add in the S&P or Qs, you just hit compare. So let's say we're doing the S&P. Yeah, the S&P, and that's that line. And you want to go from key highs or lows. So you want to scroll your chart over to see where things are from key highs or lows, not just in the middle of, like, you don't just want to go, oh, well, we'll just start it here. That does not really make any sense. So from the last little key low, you can see just for energy outperforming to the upside. Now, good, we're starting off with energy. I put up a video yesterday watching for a major topping pattern or a significant topping pattern in energy. Also in the energy ETF, got this sort of bearish topping candle in there. So watching for a pullback. Let's take a look at that weekly. Again, we are in overbought condition. We are getting some divergences also back there. The first level of support I'd be watching is about 66.35 to 65.30 in there. If we pulled back beyond that, I'm watching for about 62.50 area. And then if we pull back, since we are incredibly overbought and it's been a long run, my next major line in the sand is 58.66. Now, we're bullish long term on this. Can see even with this run up, that was the last major buy signal. There's been nothing else good. We need, no other decent buy signals. We need to get a decent pullback to reestablish a good new long position. If you're trying to trail something out, aggressive would be on a close below Friday's low. Conservative would be a close below the weekly low for your stop levels. Let's take a look at real estate sector coming up to the rotation zone and rotating back down. Again, when you're against the rotation zone, you have to be prepared. Coming back at the 200. So this is sort of trying to decide. It still favors the lower prices, but that will shift if we get a close above about this 47.86 area. You can even go to 48. Then I'll start watching for a continued little move higher. If we get a close below 46.50 area, that flat 200, I will watch for a return into these lows. Again, the daily rotation zone is still against it. The weekly is technically in neutral, but this is really trying to decide where to go. So you can watch last week's high and low for either breakout or breakdown plays. You start getting moves below last week's low and therefore below the 200. That would be breakdown plays. Above the last week's high and the significant level 47.85 area, it's breakout plays. That's how I'm going to be monitoring real estate. XLF continues to march higher. This is the financials actually picked up some steam again this week. I'm watching for the next target about 40.72. And then I'm watching for a gap fill up to about 41.26. On any pullbacks, this is still buy. You see we gap below this little trend line right here, then reversed above it last week, and this is a solid follow-through week coming in on this key resistance area. No new signals in this, but I will be watching, again, that close above 40.72, then I'm targeting the gap fill. We get above the gap fill, then this is a great area to use a reverse harmonic box, which would then, for new highs, and this isn't just for this week, this is for coming weeks, 42.31, 42.92. Now, what would change that is if we started to get a move, especially we have some minor support coming in right in this area, about 39. We got a close below 39. I'll watch the 200. We get a close below 200. I'm watching this trend line on a weekly basis. That's the only thing that's going to put a damper on this move to the upside. XLK technology tried to get a bounce. You had mixed results in technology at Google this week, and Amazon sort of crushing. I'll put Amazon in sort of technology, but it's also retail based and media and everything else. So it's really a conglomerate at this point. But you know, it still trades a lot like a tech stock. Then you have other tech stocks just rolling over. This is really at an indecisive point again for me. I'm watching this week's weekly bar above this week's high, which would also put it above the significant level. The week's high is 163.98. Then I'll watch for a continue move up, but there's a lot of overhead resistance. If it breaks down below this week's low, 157.27 area, then I'm going to watch for first to see how it reacts at the 200, about 155. If we break below that, then I'm watching for about 150.50 area to 150. Okay, we had a little buy pattern of the last week of January that's popped up, hitting into that 50 and then rolling over. So it's trying to decide whether we're going to keep this base moving. If you want to see here also, we have the little harmonic retracements holding at the 37.5. The 200 also, I'm watching it, is right at that 50. If it gets a close below this 152.89, then I'm watching for definitely a retest of these major lows in technology. XLI coming up, triggering this double bottom, pulling back. This double bottom is still in play. If we come back down to this 98.50, the double bottom is not in play. This again is industrial taking a little pullback, but you know, that's with stuff rotating into growth versus value this week, especially. There's a stronger rotation back into growth, which I don't think is going to last long term, but we'll have to see whether this double gets stopped out. It also came up to this longer term trend line right here and just bounced off. I'm going to have to redraw this longer term trend line here, but you can see kissing it goodbye at this point. So key resistance now is back at about 102.50. If we do get a nice move back up, I will be targeting about 103.29, then 104.71 first target. Major support 98.50. We get below that, then I'll be watching for the most recent lows, about 97 area. We drop below 97, then I will really watch for the next harmonic levels down. Next harmonic levels down come in at 95.50 and then 94.20 area, and that would be breaking out of this pretty bullish area. I mean, pretty consolidating area. So I'm really watching to see if this line holds, because if we start getting below this 97 area, then we're into an advanced clear path move, and I'll start watching over the next few weeks for a pullback to this 890 area. XLY, also we had this double top area. Was that yeah, it was over here on a bigger picture. You see this weekly basis with a sloppy left shoulder coming down, hitting the first and second target. And then also we have this double bottom. Now it's really indecisive. The key areas I'm watching, if we get below about 179, watching for a return to 172 and then 166 area, 166.50. If we pop above 180, 775 to 188, you can really just go to 188. Then I'm watching for a continuation of this mini double bottom, 91.37, 94.59, 97.81 to the upside. That's consumer discretionary. It's sort of pausing after its sell-off. Overall, longer term, not bullish. We have the first cross the rotation zone. Even if we come up and hit that first target, I'm then going to be watching for a rollover. Consumer discretionary, I'm looking at longer term weak, at least for the next little while. XLV, healthcare, also nice little bounce off the bottom. The 50s overhead. If we start getting above about 133.50, 133.50, 133.75. We'll watch for some resistance in there. We get above there, we're into an advanced clear path move. Next target about 137. Then above 137, I'd start getting into aggressively more bullish mode into a simple clear path move. Now, if we pull back, again, this is in this indecisive area right now. I'm watching the 130.50 area with the 200. We get below the 200. Then I will start watching for a pullback, especially to about 127.75, and then below that I'm watching 125.34. So really paying close attention to healthcare. Is if you want the short-term areas, you can watch. We have two bottoms here, not a double bottom, 130, 130. So start going below that, I'll target the 200, and then above that 50, I'll start targeting that significant level, then the move higher. XLB, the material select spider, also triggered this double. This is close enough to move up the stop. Technically, though, this would be a stop out. We'll keep at least at reduced risk, but we'll continue to track it to the downside. We start getting a move below 182.50, going to start targeting these most recent lows. And then most recent lows, and then if we get through to most recent lows, we are watching for about 179.40, 179.50 to 179, and then 178.06. On a move higher, I'm still going to use these targets. I don't aggressively trade the material select, but I will watch, especially since this first target is right by the 50. If we get above that, I will use these intermediate targets, 87.30, then 88.17. Bigger picture, also now first cross rotation zone. So this is technically in bearish mode, but overall we're in this bigger consolidation pattern coming off of divergences. So the very key area to watch on a weekly basis is 79.03. We start getting closed below there. We'll start watching for a big topping pattern and a longer term pullback. XLP, consumer staples. Longer term, I am bullish on consumer staples coming up to hit the first double bottom target. Pulling back again on a rally. I'm still very bullish on this. We'll watch for a retest of 77.05, then 77.57, then 78.11. What would put a damper on that is if we got a daily close below 75.21. If we got a close below that, then I'm watching for a pullback into these bottoming areas. You can see right about there, that's a pretty decent area, about 74, 74.20 right in here. If we get below that, then we might have put in a short-term top. Although I'm still, again, very, very bullish in here. If we get below 74, though, I'm going to target 73 for a bigger pullback. But 74 is very key on a weekly basis. So I'm watching on a weekly basis, even on a pullback, to make sure we close above this 74 area with the rising rotation zone. The last major buy signal was in December. Pulling back that weekly rotation zone, trying to rotate up, got a little selling with that rotation into growth versus value. But again, once we move back into value, we'll watch for this to go, especially to the 78.11 area. This is a great area also to use the reverse harmonics box. Above 78.11, 78.73, 79.29, definitely great areas to move up a stop since long-term bullish on this. I keep saying that, but that's just the way it is. Communications, we had the double bottom. We came up hitting all the targets, gap above the final one, and then reverse down. Now it's a triple bottom. I'm watching for this now to roll over again. I'm watching for this to make new recent lows once we get below the 69.50, then 68.22, 66.96. This worked off its way oversold condition by triggering that double, popping up, and now rolling back over. Not bullish on this at all. You can see longer term, we have the rotation zone against it, and we ran up there and also rotating back down. So I'm really focused on this 67 area. We break below that, I'll start watching about 65.50. Utilities, sort of caught in no man's land. Major support coming in about the 67.75. We start getting below there. I'm targeting the 200 again, 67. And then I will go to these most recent lows, about 66 area to 66.25. What would make me minorly bullish? Let's take a look at that weekly. We'd really have to get above, I'm going to jump back to daily, we'd really have to get above about 69.50 area, but there's a lot of overhead choppy resistance. Above 69.50, going to target 70, then 70.60 area to the upside. Again, we break below 67.75, going to target 67, and then the most recent lows. Transportation, since we don't cover it anywhere, we had this little rotation back up. And sort of moving back down. this is just a mess right now. Longer term, I'm still bearish on transportation. The only thing that would change that is a daily close above about 269. Above 269, then I am targeting right around 272. Above 272, I will watch for a retest of major highs. It could not sustain its move above the 200, which is turning into resistance. We break below Friday's low. I'm watching for a return to about 255. Below 255, then I am focusing on about 250. But nothing really bullish in here, just choppy plays. So transportation, I really need to have something in the transportation index to be bullish, showing a really strong outperformance. Now, what is super interesting, commodities. Remember, we talked about the topping pattern potentially in oil. This is way overbought. I'm watching for a bigger pullback in commodities. We just hit another key harmonic. And longer term, I mean, over the next couple weeks, this could easily pull back to about 22. 2186 to 22, which will probably initiate another major buy. You also see running out of momentum on this new push. Commodities have been on a tear. I'm watching for a reset pattern. If we don't get it just yet, my next major target is 2330. Minorly, you can start watching. We have a little gap here, but my prior area of about 2250 to 2235 is first key area of support. We break below that, I will monitor the bottom of the week of the daily rotation zone, but really at that point I'm watching for that bigger pullback. What's also really interesting, that was DBC. DBA, which is, these are Invesco's funds. DBA I'm just adding in this week is the agriculture fund. I am been bullish. We had a buy signal back at the end of January, moving up, just hitting the next harmonic, 2863, and pausing there. I am bullish on this for the next few months. So on pullbacks, I am watching for key buy patterns. 2037 is the first pullback level, then about 20 to 2015 is the next pullback on the daily. The weekly major support around that 2015. If we did drop below that, my major line in the sand on any weekly pullback is about 1970. Next push higher, major cluster area about 2088 to 2091. So that will be key. You see finally getting into overbought again. No major divergences. This is one's pretty much been reset on the weekly. On the daily, not even in overbought. So this could easily make a run higher, and still watching for up moves with buy the dips, dip the buys. Buy the dips, pulling in for the agriculture fund, especially through the spring. That's where we stand for now. Let me switch back to the other camera. Hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you want to do your own relative strength measures, I generally compare things against the S&P, unless with technology you can always go against the Qs or any other NASDAQ index. With that, we'll call it a session for now. We'll be going into this afternoon our market overview to prepare for the next week of trading. Hope everyone has a wonderful trading week, and talk to you soon. Bye for now.